I've been married for 6 years and have 2 children. My mom fell last week and we decided to take her into our care, even though we were under a lot of financial pressure. We struggled to make ends meet, but we always taught our kids that family is more important than anything else. It was a hot summer's day and I was driving a car. There weren't a lot of cars on the highway. A car broke down and stopped on the highway. The car in front of me slowed down. I put my foot on the brake to slow down, and I saw a big truck in my rearview mirror. It was a nightmare for me. I was terrified and I remember saying out loud, "I can't believe I'm going to die today." 3 seconds later, the big truck hit me and time immediately stopped and everything was quiet. As time stopped, the feeling of being loved grew stronger and stronger. Panic was replaced by love, giving me a sense of calm, and I was no longer afraid. I was held in a way that I had never felt such love in since I was a child. Think of someone who loves you deeply. Now multiply that feeling by 10,000 times and maybe you can feel what I felt. I felt that there were 2 other people with me. I can't explain how I know this, but one of them is my grandmother. It took me many years to figure out who the other one was. I didn't know who it was then. Most of us have been taught to trust God in our lives. Although I was raised in a Christian home, I was very disappointed in my father because of the violence I experienced in my childhood. The next thing I saw God. I couldn't believe my eyes. He said to me, "My child, calm down and everything will be okay." I felt like I was his child, and it was a very safe and warm place. He had very loving and gentle hands. He reviews my life in color. I see the good things I have done. I can feel the joy that others feel when I help them. He told me, "I am proud of you." Looking back at this also brought me joy because I could feel the difference I made in their lives that I didn't realize at the time. I didn't know them. Also, I see and feel the wrong things I have done. I had to feel the damage I had caused. God was not judging me. Instead, I was judging myself, and believe me, no one can judge himself more harshly than himself. I was so ashamed that he asked me, "What have you learned from this?" He didn't yell at me. It was hard for me to forgive myself. In his eyes, I got the answer that punishing myself did not make me better. Accepting his love was what he wanted me to do. Once I was able to accept God's love, it was easier for me to look at my life. I wanted to learn as much as I could, and I had a lot of questions. God loves me as much as I love my children. Even if they do something wrong, I still love them. I am not happy with their behavior, but that doesn't change my love for them. I am not physically abusing my children, but I am hurting them with my words. That's just too bad. I could feel their pain. I felt like a failure. When the life review was over, he explained to me my mission on earth. I was very surprised. All of us are very important to God. I thought he didn't know I existed. I had been beating myself up for years, and the question he asked me was, "What is the point of life if everyone lives the same?" That's why my work is so important. That's why I don't take criticism of anyone lightly. Some of us are here to teach, some of us are here to learn, and I asked him, "Why do I have such a father?" I didn't have a happy childhood, and he told me, "You have to experience something to learn and to continue what I was doing there." I understood that the earth is like a school, and when we finish our studies, we have to take the final exam, which is a review of everyone's life, and then we can graduate and go home. It all makes so much sense. Finally, he showed me what I still needed to do. The next question before me was, do you want to stay or leave? Even though I wanted to stay in his arms, I needed to address the things that hurt people if I had the chance. I didn't want to leave too many regrets. I replied very reluctantly. As much as I wanted to stay. But I knew I had to go back, and the moment I said that, my conversation with God ended. 1 second, I was having a pleasant conversation with God, my grandmother. Suddenly, I was back in the car, my hand on the wheel. I was still driving, and I was thinking, I can't believe this is happening to me. I can't believe that I learned so much in 3 seconds. I can't believe my brain can think about so many things at the same time. There was a voice in the back of my head, take your foot off the brake and put your foot on the gas. I did as instructed. As I hit the car in front of me, the truck hit me. The car in front of me was hit and drove forward some distance. The truck also stopped. I slowly pulled over because I wasn't sure what else was going to happen and didn't want to stay in the middle of the highway. I want to emphasize here that if I hadn't heard that sound, I wouldn't have stepped on the gas and I would have been caught in the middle or just run over by the big truck and died a horrible death. A few hours later, I didn't go to the hospital because I felt fine. I made a stupid decision. It's essential to get checked out after an accident. I sat in my car and I kept holding myself because I didn't want to lose the love of God because it was still with me. I don't know how long it took for the police to arrive, but when the police opened my car door, my tears came at once. When he opened the car door, God's love slowly began to fade. He found me physically unharmed. The police officer was so surprised that I couldn't tell him what had happened. Because it was hard for me to believe it myself. A few hours after the accident, I began to have pain all over my body and could not move my neck. That night, my husband took me to the emergency room. The doctors treated me and I didn't say a word to anyone, knowing that if I told them what had happened, they would put me in a mental institution. I didn't think anyone would believe me. As I said before, in my life review, I saw my mission on Earth clearly. When the crash was over, I forgot everything, so I went back to my old self and tried to find my way. But it was clear to me that God was really watching over me. And I kept a picture of myself above my bed to remind myself every morning that I was a child of God. When I get stuck, I stop and think about what I'm going to do next, because I don't want to hurt anyone else. I'm not perfect, but I try really hard to do the right thing. The year after the accident was probably the hardest time of my life, and I often wondered why I was stupid enough to stay here. And I kept yelling at myself, what the hell were you thinking? Now, looking back at what I've learned and how happy I am today, I'm happy to have stayed. When I see the sun shining through the clouds, sometimes I really want to go back there. For me, God is the light. He is reminding me to remember how much He loves me and that I will never be alone. One day I will return to Him forever. Until I get back there, it's a wonderful game to look at every difficulty as an adventure. Life is becoming so much easier.